For a long period of time, we thought that the major goal of Grace Family Vineyards was to raise capital for disenfranchised people. And it became apparent some few years ago that that is now number 2 on our list, and that the most important thing we can do is to raise consciousness that we can be compassionate caretakers of the disenfranchised amongst us. Once we take the distractions of our everyday world away, there lives within all of us a flower of trying to give, to be of assistance, to be of help, and in caring for our fellow human beings. And in those people who have joined us on our path, I have seen an unbridled amount of love, compassion, kindness.
We take friends, customers of the winery, whoever's interested. We spend time, first of all, in Kathmandu, helping out in orphanages and hospitals. And following our time in Kathmandu, we head off trekking in the mountains. Spending time in the Solo Khumbu is the holiday portion of the trip, but somehow we invariably find ourselves in interesting situations.
We left Takshindo on the way to Karikola, and the first probably 2/3 of the hike is 4,000 foot loss in altitude from Takshindo down to the Dukoshi River. And we had taken a small tea break in Flueli, a little tiny rye village, and left, and we're on our way down. I was walking with Anne and a couple of other people, including Dr. Paul. And I don't know what it was to this moment that attracted me off the path, but about no more than 20 feet off the path, I just happened to notice a wicker porter's basket that looked very unusually weaved. And so I took the time to do a left turn off the path and walk in that 15 or 20 feet. And on approaching the basket, I realized that my eye had played a trick on me, and it was a very ordinary basket. And I started to leave, but I glanced left and I saw what appeared to be a little baby basket, and went over to just looked at it briefly and started to walk away, and I noticed that there was a baby's head peering out from top of some absolutely filthy blankets. Baby's head, unfortunately, was covered by hundreds of flies and looked to be about 6 months old. We found out later in actuality that the child was about 2 years old. I've never seen the degree of neglect in Nepal that this child was under. We sat there, and some people started to drift away down the path, and I said, this is inexcusable. We're not leaving. We're not going to leave this child in the condition that he is in right now.
Many people, I think, would have tried to do something and then walked away from it and said, this is impossible. He would not take no for an answer, and seemed to be able to rally everybody around, demonstrate that this was an important human being, and set up provisions for the child with some follow-through.
We tended to the baby for probably about an hour. It was pretty an extraordinary experience. We got some water from the village, a 5-gallon container of water. We washed the baby using a shampoo. We picked the lice out of the baby's hair. We shoot as many flies away as we possibly could. We put Pond's hand cream all over the baby and massaged the baby for a while. The baby was unable to stand because the muscles weren't developed. However, there was a certain brightness starting to accrue to the baby, and it charmed all of us. And so after a little bit of time, when the baby actually started to drink, and then somebody had some fruit, some pressed fruit, and we tore it up into small bits, and the baby started to actually eat the fruit. And we were massaging his hands and feet at the time, and the baby's brightness and awareness just increased literally minute by minute. It was an extraordinary thing to see.
He looked very bright, and he looked contented and almost like an angel sitting there, compared to the state in which we found him, which was horrendous.
So the child seems to have real promise. I mean, somehow you just have a feeling this is a child, if if nourished and exercised and loved, could be a really vibrant spirit.
The next morning, we met an old friend of JP's who was a local politician and who was on his way to the baby's village. We explained the situation to him, and he agreed to ask the baby's mother if she would be willing to put him up for adoption in Kathmandu. As child abandonment and neglect is so rare in Nepal, he was as shocked as we were about the condition of the child. A few days later, the baby was delivered to Lukla with the blessings of his mother and all of the villagers. We all fell absolutely in love with him from the moment we saw him. JP, our Sherpa guide, felt the same way and declared that he would like to adopt the baby, and we named him John Karma Sherpa. The next day, John Karma flew to his new home in Kathmandu on Dick Grace's lap. John Karma is now walking, talking, singing, and doing just beautifully. He has really gained strength in his arms and legs, and we are all just thrilled.
What it illustrated to me is that we can all make a difference, and I don't know what drew me to that area. I never will know why I ended up there. I'm just grateful that I did. I like to think it's the beginning of the story rather than the whole story, and that we'll be able to take this young child and through proper care and proper nourishment, it'll have a different life than it was destined for, if in fact it was destined for much life at all. Here we are for harvest number 22, and I'd like to just make one point. These couple of acres of grapes have done so much for mankind and so much for each one of us, to teach us lessons and to act as a vehicle that wine can be indeed a catalyst towards healing our planet. So you're all helpers today. You're all a part of that vehicle, and we're all welcoming of you and happy to have you here. It's just absolutely wonderful. I often talk about swinging from vine to vine like a monkey does in the jungle, and you can't make any progress unless you let go of that previous vine. And I just let go of a pretty big previous vine, and that was my connection with the brokerage business. And I'm excited as I have ever been. We're moving on here. We're going to try and make our message of wine as a catalyst towards healing the planet more real, more direct, and more meaningful than ever before. It seems odd that almost any good fortune or success that I've had in my life has almost been dependent upon letting go of that vine and trusting that the next vine would be there and support me. So here I go, and I hope that vine is out there ready to support me, because let's face it, it is an action of deep good faith. Owning a world-class winery and living in a beautiful Victorian in the Napa Valley, generating in excess of $500,000 for charity every year may sound like the lifestyle of the outlandishly wealthy. But remember where we started from before you dismiss the relevance of our story to your life. In 1976, the Napa Valley was an undiscovered agricultural community whose best wines retailed for well under $10 a bottle. We had no special skills, and I was no better off than any other moderately successful stockbroker. However, we were prepared to seize the moment, and by doing so, we have discovered how easy it is to make a difference, which is every bit as true today as it was in 1976. Never let fear or cynicism hold you back. You can help to heal the planet and to change the world.